So today we are somewhere very special with a car that is extremely special here at the Gleneagles Hotel in Scotland. I've got my mate, business partner, whatever, one of his many cars right here. I've been very lucky to drive this car previously, but it might be heading off to a new home soon, so I had to grab it for a car review. I feel like all we've been doing for the last little while is sports SUVs. We've had my SVR, my old X3M competition, but to be totally honest, we've got something much better and much more special today. This is my mate Paul's Lamborghini Urus. What a car straight away, right? It's a fantastic car. Like I said, I've driven it before. The spec in this one, interior wise, is the highest spec I've ever seen. You'll be able to see that when we jump inside. The Urus is one of the most popular Lamborghinis in the world just now. If you look on Auto Trader, there's more Uruses for sale than any other model of Lamborghini because they are so popular, so usable. 5 seats, they are really spacious. That's one of the things I hate about Lamborghinis, by the way. I've driven the Aventador, I've driven multiple configurations of the Huracan. I've driven a couple of Uruses, and the Urus just got so much space. It's a fantastic car. But there's loads of funny little quirks and features. Shout out Doug DeMuro for stealing his patter there. To this car specifically, that just makes it pretty weird and absolutely wonderful. The reason we're here at the Gleneagles Hotel is because Paul literally lives on the edge of the golf course, about 30 seconds drive from here, and I don't want to rack up too many miles on this amazing car. Let's walk around the back, have a look at the back of the car, whilst I tell you some of the technical specifications of the Lamborghini Urus. Now, loads of people don't realise with the Urus, because they're so used to Lamborghinis being in a V10 naturally aspirated format, potentially a V12 with a turbocharger. You're not used to seeing smaller engines generally than a V10. So I think the normal car person would assume that inside of the Urus, they've just taken the V10 from the Huracan and stuck it inside of a family SUV. Well, that's where you would be wrong. This car actually has a twin turbocharged V8. Totally different to pretty much any other Lamborghini that has ever existed in history. It is an engine that is very similar, I guess, to something like an X5M competition or an Audi RSQ8. Here's the secret, it actually is the same engine as the Audi RSQ8, the exact same engine, the same way that the Audi R8 V10 Plus is basically just a Lamborghini Huracan in a different jacket. In terms of the power output of this car, we're looking at around about 650 horsepower with about 630 pound-feet of torque. So a very well matched power output inside this car. Fantastic four-wheel drive system. It is actually super capable as a four-wheel drive car. I'll be honest, I don't think it's as capable, has as many features as the SVR does. If you've watched that review, when I go through my SVR, I show you all the different driving modes. And personally, I wouldn't want to take this up a mountain or through a muddy off-road track. I'm sure someone out there probably would, but me personally, it's not going to be my thing. So in terms of technical specifications, it's such a strong family-sized supercar, really. Now, me personally, I think this car is designed absolutely beautifully. I'm a big fan of quad exit exhausts. That's, I guess, a reoccurring theme on the channel for the past couple of reviews. We've got the quad exit on the SVR, we've got the quad exit on the X3M, and we've got the quad exit here on the Urus as well. The sloped back, this kind of coupe style SUV is something that I personally absolutely love. You see that present in the X6M competition, we see it on the Urus. It's just a fantastic way to build out the back of a sports SUV. I imagine it's more aerodynamic. I can't confirm for sure because I'm not an engineer. I just think it looks absolutely amazing. One thing you're going to notice, a theme on this Urus specifically, when I talk about it being one of the highest spec ones I've ever seen, I'm not joking, you will see a reoccurring theme of carbon on this car. There is carbon absolutely everywhere. Carbon boot lid spoiler, carbon here on the boot where we're holding the Lamborghini name. There is so much carbon, especially on the inside of this car, you're going to be shocked the amount of carbon on it. I just think the Urus is such a well-designed car. It's so well designed. From the diffusers to the exits to the honeycomb style of the grills on the front and back, it's something that I think this car will stay looking extremely modern for probably at least the next 10 to 15 years. So let's have a look at the shoes that this Urus is on. Big wheels, like really big wheels, 23s. massive, and it's 23s on the front and the back. Sometimes, and I don't know why, even as a car enthusiast, sometimes some cars that I've driven, owned, reviewed, larger wheels at the back, smaller wheels at the front. There's 23s all round. Obviously on the classic Pirelli P0s, fantastic tyres, had them on my McLaren as well. One thing you'll notice though when you look at these wheels, they're beautiful diamond cut, black, how many spokes? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 spoke wheels. But what you're going to notice if you look behind the wheels is that's potentially the biggest brakes I have ever seen on a car that I've driven. Bigger than I have seen on the Aventador, bigger than I have seen on very high powered Ferraris. These are huge, huge carbon ceramic brakes that are on all 4 corners of the Urus. If you watched the McLaren review, and I reviewed my McLaren before I sold it, you'll recall me speaking of the costs of changing carbon ceramic brakes. These are even bigger than the McLarens. Don't know if that means that they're better, I'm unsure, but I can imagine that to fully overhaul the brake system in this car, to change pads and discs, you'll be somewhere in the region of £25,000. The tyres on each corner, you're somewhere in the region of £600. But you're also not buying a Lamborghini Urus if you're looking for a cheap car to maintain. I think they're absolutely beautiful wheels. I love the red accents on the calipers of the brakes, but I'm even still standing here in absolute shock of how large these brakes are. It's just a testament to how much stopping power is required for a car of this size, weight and power output. Like I already mentioned, carbon is such a reoccurring theme on this car. You can see we've got carbon here over the wing mirrors. One thing I don't understand why they didn't do is they didn't put carbon here. Now this is clearly a little design feature, it's honeycombed here, but it's not actually for any air intake or anything. I would have thought they would have just stuck carbon on that, I'm not sure, but this is an absolutely beautiful touch. We come down to the front here as well, just at the bumper, we've got these carbon accents down here as well. One thing I love about really expensive cars and high performance supercars and luxury cars is when you actually take a second to look at how detailed the headlights are. One of the companies who are the absolute best for this is actually Bentley. The headlight complications and some of these little diamond shapes and all, it's absolutely beautiful. But when you actually look down here, it's almost like looking at the Goyard pattern. If any of you are familiar with Goyards, like a leather maker. The detail inside of just these lights is just absolutely incredible. I think one of the great things that when you come around the front of the Urus and you actually look forward at it is it's really not that different from the Aventador. I know it's much higher up, the Aventador's a much thinner front end to make it more aerodynamic, but when you look at this kind of design here, these kind of sharp points on the front of it, the way the bonnet actually fits into this section of the car here, it is so similar to the Aventador, it's ridiculous. It's still got a very aggressive front end. It's not a car that you look at and you go, oh hey, this is a family SUV that might be a little bit quick, like a Vogue SV or something like that. You look at this and you go, shit, this is going to be an absolute monster because it's designed in an aggressive way. Fantastic job from Lamborghini doing this. Do I think they do it as good as maybe Mercedes do it? Paul actually owns a GLS 63S as well, and you have that Pan America front grille at the, you know, the front of all the large AMGs, which loads of people say kind of looks like a shark. Definitely, I would say that is one of the most aggressive front ends you can get for a family sports SUV, and dare I say the GLS 63S might be one of the best cars I've ever driven in my life. But this right here, just the aggression off the front of it, especially with a non-aggressive colour on the car. I still think the colour's beautiful, but it's not like a in-your-face, angry, bright yellow, lime green style of colour. It still just looks so menacing from the front. I've actually never seen what a Lamborghini Urus's engine bay looks like, so this could be really crap when I open it. It could be dirty, there could be someone hiding in here, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, very pretty, very pretty. Two-tone grey, you can see big intakes in here. V8 turbo compresso. Don't have a freaking clue what that's saying. Oh, that's the order of the cylinders. Right, so it's a V8, so it goes 1, 3, 7, 2, 6, 5, 4, 8. Don't know why they just don't make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But that's why I don't build supercars. This is a super tidy engine bay, by the way. Really tidy. There's not really much to see here, but I also imagine it would be a nightmare to service, hard to get in and about things. That's just supercars. One thing I love about the interior of the Urus, or the interior of any car that has this feature, is when you have somewhere you can just slide in the key. It just sits nice and comfortable. Absolutely love that. This car has a stunning, one of the nicest I've seen, ivory and black interiors. And now that you're inside, you will realise that I was absolutely not joking about the amount of carbon. Carbon centre console, the whole way through, right across here, down the passenger door, across the surround for the fully digital dash that we've got here, around the air vents, down my passenger door here. There is carbon absolutely everywhere in this car, everywhere. One of the things that I love about the Urus is this little section here. It is very Captain Picard in Star Trek, that you're constantly pulling big levers and clicking these different things. You guys know me if you've watched any of my videos before. I talk about loving having a physical gear selector. The Urus is a bit of, Lamborghinis in general are a bit funny. If you get in a Lamborghini, it is likely that you will struggle to know how to put it into gear. It's very obvious here how you put it into reverse, clearly. Has M here for manual mode, P for park, engine start underneath the red latch. Then you can see the park, reverse, neutral, drive and manual here. And people try and push it forward and pull it in certain ways and think. You actually put it into gear always with the flappy paddles. So once you start the car, we'll get it started up in a second, we're gonna go drive and do a sound check and stuff like that. But you put it, you start it and people sit here and they start clicking stuff here and go, how the hell do I actually use this car? You just put it into gear by pressing that once, which is pretty weird, to be honest. I'm not going to say it's a good feature, I'm not going to say it's a bad feature, it's just odd. Now with this Urus being absolutely insane spec inside, we've got so much to go through. We've got the rear entertainment for the kids, we've got the sunroof, which I'm keeping shut just now just so that we don't get light that we don't want shining onto my rather large forehead. And we've also got the amazing twin screens here inside, one of which of course being to control climate and all that kind of stuff, another one just being a total entertainment screen. With the Urus, to my understanding anyway, the configuration of the digital dash is business. It is not entertainment and songs and split screen and la la la. It is purely about the performance, the speed, the temperature, all that kind of stuff. It is purely a business-based dial. The steering wheel is absolutely beautiful, but one thing that I think they missed, honestly, with this steering wheel is there's carbon everywhere, minus here. I don't know why. I think that this steering wheel would really suit, and maybe it's been the spec, don't know. I think this steering wheel would really suit carbon, Alcantara, and carbon paddles here. It would be absolutely fantastic. Now, one thing, if you've ever driven a Lamborghini before, you will know that often the Lamborghini indicators are on the steering wheel. So you have a button here that you slide from left to right to indicate. One of, personally, my most hated features of a Lamborghini is not present in the Urus. Thank goodness, we've actually just got a normal indicator stock here, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't know why they have that feature. I think it's absolutely crap. I've never liked it. It's always just felt so weird. I much prefer having an actual indicator stock, and thankfully that's what we've got inside the Urus. So let's get the power turned on, not the engine just yet, because there's families and kids walking about in this car. It is pretty noisy, to be honest, but we can have a look at some of the more electrical features and you can see what it actually looks with the, what it looks like, sorry, with the digital dash and the twin screens and all that kind of stuff. And also a funny little feature when I'm just about to put this on. If you watch, it's a full Bang & Olufsen sound system inside this car. Obviously, what else is it going to be? Bloody, what was that one back in the day? Was it JVC? Yeah. Everybody's granny had that with the sound bar underneath the TV. It's got an amazing full system, of course, but then it's got these cool little tweeters up at the front. So we'll show you what actually happens to those when we turn the car on. So it's a really clean, super simple kind of setup inside of the Urus. I cannot say that it's the same in any other Lamborghini model that I've been in. The Aventador, as much as it is one of the most incredible cars ever, it sounds amazing, looks amazing, it's an absolute nightmare. Like, it truly is a nightmare. The Apple CarPlay is a bloody nightmare. The Huracan's a nightmare. Depending on what spec you get, the Huracan either has a little tiny crappy screen or no screen at all in the stuff here, or it has 2 screens. There's just so many Hurricanes, it's ridiculous. And they're just all so hard to use, right? In my opinion, this is so simple. Photos of seats, heated seat on, heated seat off. And it has a little response to it, this screen, which is nice. It's not just like it's got a little, if that makes sense, which is awesome. So here we've got heated steering wheel, we've got pretty much every single thing you could imagine. You've also got your gradient control on here. So what I mean by that is if you know you're gonna be driving super steep or super steep down the way or up the way, I guess, you can have a look on here and it's gonna help you readjust height. It's gonna show you the actual degree of the angle at which you're driving, which is really cool. This screen here, like I said, purely for entertainment, sat nav, all that kind of stuff. So did not mean that, and it's not my music either, and I would go as far as to say it's certainly not Paul's. So here we've got all our radio navigation, just the actual specs of the Urus. You can see so much stuff in here, and phone apps too if you're using CarPlay and stuff like that. Honestly, I actually hate CarPlay. That's me just being honest. I really don't like Apple CarPlay. I try to avoid using it as much as I can. I have it in the SVR, and I'm just not really a big fan of it. So Lamborghini have kept this extremely classy, really, really simple, and just very pretty. You know, it's classic Lamborghini, how I think it should be, especially in a family car. Maybe you can make the argument for the Hurricane and the Aventador and all that stuff is secondary. In here, you're going to be with the kids, you're going to be doing all that stuff, you want to quickly be able to do stuff for them and control the screens in the back and all that stuff, like, yeah, you're going to want to be able to do that. We've got so many different driving modes down here. Now, on the Ego side of things, you're purely controlling steering, suspension and drivetrain. That's it. So you're going to change a drivetrain depending on, I guess, the performance of the mode that you're driving in, but sometimes I just have to crack my neck because my neck is like fused together from years of getting punched in the face. It's going to also depend on just your driving preference as well. If you want the suspension to be slightly softer, that's a great thing about cars like this, and it's a feature we also have in the X3M, is that you don't need to just drive super, super aggressive or normal settings. You can have, oh, I want really aggressive exhaust tone, I want aggressive performance, I want to make the suspension slightly softer, so that you can actually have your own kind of bespoke settings for driving. And here in terms of performance settings, we've got Strada, which is the standard, Sport, which starts to sound mental. Then you've got Corsa, which absolutely sounds mental. No idea what Sabia means. Could not tell you what Sabia means. Terra, these are going to be driving modes depending on what you're actually driving on. Terra is going to be, I guess, mud and stuff like that. Neve, not sure what that means either. Probably should have researched that. But I'm in this car to kick its arse. I'm not in this car to drive it on mud, right? But there are a whole bunch of different driving modes here, which is really, really handy. Oh, sounds amazing. The fact that you can change the driving mode before you start it is just pretty stupid, to be honest, because idiots like me, the car's heated up because I've driven it, right? So already the revs have dropped dramatically. But for me, this is producing 57 Newton meters of torque just at idle, which is absolutely hilarious. Idiots like me would wake up in the morning, freezing cold, neighbours around your house, straight into Corsa mode, bang. Like, the fact they've made that a feature, they knew what they were doing. So let's do a sound check. So we're gonna get the Urus. In fact, I'm gonna open the sunroof. And then we're gonna get the Urus out of the Gleneagles Hotel grounds into the beautiful rolling roads of Perthshire, and we're gonna see how capable this big bus is on the road. You bloody hear that? Sounded like, what's her name? Karen Dunbar. Kenneth, you're a decent bag for school. Why is it not changing gear yet? Where's it going to change? Oh, change at 4K revs. Wow. As we're driving out just now, one thing I will say, just from like, you know, 3-point turning in the Urus and stuff like that, it has really heavy steering. Like really, really heavy steering in my opinion. And in Corsa mode, which I've still got it in, it just does not want to change gear. Listen to the gargles. You hear them off the back, they're absolutely sick. Like, you don't get many gargles out of this car. This is the Dolmy house at Gleneagles. If you're ever here playing golf, this is where you go and get yourself some food and all the golf carts and stuff like that. It doesn't really gargle, and I just can't help myself, I need to do it. It doesn't really gargle in the Strada mode. It's certainly not quiet, but it's not like going mental. Whereas in this Corsa mode just now, already it's like, oh, it's aggressive, it wants to go. So we'll be able to get out onto the road in a second and give the car a little play. It's changing gear at 4k revs in this, which is kinda ridiculous. Believe it or not, I've actually never driven the Urus in manual mode. I'm sure it's going to be pretty sick, to be honest. So let's get a little... Yeah, what was that? Whoa, the power delivery is so weird. I've driven this car before, but there's something about the power delivery that just catches you off guard. Oh, do you know what I've not realised? Now that I've put it into Corsa mode, it's produced a heads-up display on the windscreen for me, which is pretty cool. Let's get through here. I see a national speed limit sign, Gary. Sorry, Paul. Oh, the torque steer there was crazy. Oh my goodness. I think in the specs I forgot to say how fast this actually does 0 to 60. This does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. For a car of this size, that's a second faster than the SVR, or just under a second faster. It's absolutely ridiculous. Its pull from 60 up to 70, of course, is wow. That is absolutely outstanding. That power delivery is just, yeah, that's incredible, to be totally honest. And I have no idea what road I'm on just now. I'm going to swap into manual mode for a second, just to see what it is like. I'm going to go up a couple of gears. We're sitting in, it's an 8-speed dual clutch automatic, by the way. I always forget to tell you the stuff that people generally care about, because I'm too excited at the prospect of just driving the car. I was hoping that the road I went down we were going to be presented with a, oh, it's put it back into drive mode and downshifted me into fourth. What? Didn't I just press the manual button? Okay, and then, oh yeah, this is a car. This is an absolute car. Where am I going to get bloody spun around? Next thing I know, I'm going to have to take traction control off and drift it back round into the straights. Then I think Paul would maybe actually fall out with me. But here's a little extra story whilst we're driving. I actually curbed the wheel on Paul's Aventador whilst he was on holiday. And the reason I even had it was because he had curbed the wheel and he asked me if I knew someone who could fix it, and I said yes. I went and got it fixed, and on the drive home from getting it fixed, I curbed it myself. Pretty impressively stupid, to be honest. I think we're going to have to spin around in someone's drive here or something like that. No, because I've got a Dacia Sandero behind me, and the drivers of those are known to be quite aggressive. Where am I going to get spun around? Next thing I'm going to be in Perth city centre? Jeez, oh.
How have you got a Dacia catching up to you in this?
Yeah, I know,
You must
that's...
be driving pretty poor, mate.
That is pretty bad, to be honest. But I was slowing down to hopefully do a little 3-point turn there, but didn't have the luck that I was looking for. This Dacia is right up my backside. Oh, it's really interesting seeing all the torque output. So it showed me the power in kilowatts, and it showed me the torque in Newton meters. So I'm producing just now about 600 Newton meters of torque just when I give it that little flutter. Wow, this really torque steers like the SVR, and it's not got horrendous body roll, to be honest. It's not amazing because, remember, it is a SUV, so the body roll is naturally going to be worse than a normal supercar or even a sports hatchback or something. But for the size of it, I can't say the body roll is that terrible, but something hilarious is that within the last 2 minutes of driving, we've used 15 miles of fuel. That's pretty ridiculous. This isn't even putting heavy power down, it's just listening. Oh wow. Excellent, excellent car. What a vehicle, honestly. 73, which means I am within my 70 plus 10% allowance. I know that's not like gospel, but I believe that's what you can do without being prosecuted. Any police in the comments, let me know. Would love to find out. Yeah, it's time to get the glasses on, I think. Don't show this to any women in your family, because that's what we do, guys. Prada sunglasses. You need to keep the rolly banger on. Not had this on for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. It's absolutely still showing the time and date from then because it's a fashion accessory. I look at my phone to check the time. Primark, Air Max TNs, Mona Saints.
You're in the classic prison fit, but just with shorts.
Yeah, I'm in the prison fit.
Summer prison fit.
I'm about to go out in the yard and play fives with the boys. It's my plan. And by the way, shout out Paul for letting me use this car. If you guys are interested in property / real estate investment, learning more about how you can make money from property and stuff like that, then you definitely want to visit the bio of this video. I'm going to link Paul's Instagram and YouTube channel in there. You can get so much free value, find out more about the trainings that he does and stuff like that as well, because let's face it, that stuff is what's got him the multiple Lamborghinis, GLS 63S, house on the most expensive postcode in Scotland. I could keep going, because he wouldn't, because he's humble. But yeah, if you want to check out his stuff, click down below. Obviously I quoted the torque earlier on, 630 pound-feet of torque. I believe that's at 6,600 revs. That's just what they have on the spec book for this. But driving it in Corsa and looking at the torque measurement here, depending on how much power I'm putting down, I'm getting over 1,000 Newton meters of torque at certain points. So I guess they're just showing you the average capabilities of the car as opposed to the most extreme, which is pretty smart. But to be able to see over 1,000 Newton meters of torque coming up on this is pretty crazy, to be honest. So we've used around about 30 miles of fuel in the last 4 miles. And to be honest, I've not actually really been kicking the car's ass. Like, I really have not been kicking the car's ass, which is pretty funny. If you're driving this like you were racing it, I would imagine you'd fire through the fuel pretty damn quick. The steering is really heavy at half lock, man, like really heavy. Oh, some people crossing the road. I'll slow down. I'm a humble Lamborghini driver, because it's not mine. I would say the Urus just now is probably like the daily driver of the ultra wealthy. There are many people at Paul's house, like his area. They're in like a little gated community. There's many people there that also drive the Urus. Some people have multiple of them in different colours, which I think is pretty cool. But it just goes to show how well respected this car is among the kind of ultra high net worth people around the world, not just in the UK. You can pick one of these up. The cheapest one on Auto Trader just now has like 55,000 miles, which isn't really horrendous, but it's got around 55,000 miles and is about 153,000. So you can pick these up for 150k. This one you're not going to pick up for 150k, but it's probably still going to be around the region of 190. I know it was a good bit over 200 when Paul first bought it, which you say it's good value, people think they're ridiculous, but I do genuinely think that that is good value. So I always forget our scoring system, maybe one day I'll remember it, but it's something to do with comfort, power, price and design. So, and I'm going to do this objectively, so I'm not going to say, oh, price is terrible, because you can get a Honda Jazz for £600. I'm going to base it on you watching this video, looking to buy a Urus and being in that price bracket, right? Design for this car, specifically this spec, all the carbon, the interior, all that kind of stuff, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. I think it is absolutely incredibly designed. Me personally, it wouldn't be the colour that I would have, but that's because I'm a much louder person than someone like Paul, for example, who actually owns this car. So me, if I was to have this, I would get a different colour for sure. That's not to say I dislike this colour. It's just not 100% me. In terms of performance, pretty stupid. It's a solid 9 as well. A really stupid car, actually. The no soft limiter on the sound check and that just makes me so happy. The torque steer is pretty bad, but it's four-wheel drive car. I'm used to mega torque steer off the SVR anyway, so it's not really the end of the world, to be totally honest. What's the other bloody scoring things? Was it comfort? What? Comfort? Comfortable? Yeah. It's not like I'm going to say 8 because it's not like sitting in a Rolls Royce or whatever, but for what it is, it's super comfortable. I've not had the privilege of doing a super long drive in it, so that could go up or down, but yeah, I'm going to say 8, pretty comfortable. And for price, I do these on the spot, by the way, as you can tell, because I don't remember anything. Price, I am going to say a 7. Now, hear me out before you think, Richard, that's right, la la. I'm going to say 7, not because I think it's badly priced, but because I know what I paid for my SVR. There is a pretty big difference. I think the interior of my SVR is really similar in some ways. Same colour, double touchscreen, heated steering wheel, all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's a terrible car. I think that it's a lot of car for the money, and I think in years to come when the prices drop a little bit more, the value for money will be even larger. You're comparing this to like the RS Q8, which you could get for half the price, and it's pretty much the same car. You're also looking at the other crazy end of the scale when you're looking at stuff like the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, which could be, depending on the spec, £400,000-500,000. The Bentley Bentayga, which you can get for under 100k now. Yes, for an older version, for a similar age to this, you'll still be a little bit cheaper, and you're going to get a big V8 and an amazing interior as well. So I think it's definitely a great value car, but there's a lot of competition inside of this kind of big, high-power SUV type of sector. 33 divided by 4, 8.25. We'll round it down to an 8. The Lamborghini Urus scores an 8 out of 10 on the Dixco system, which is pretty bloody solid. Fantastic car. If you get a chance to drive one, I would definitely recommend it. Start it up in Corsa mode, because why the hell not? The Lamborghini Urus, fantastic. Thank you, Paul, for letting me use it. And for those of you watching my channel just now, you might be thinking, Richard, I go on your channel and for one video you're reviewing cars, then you're talking about business, then you're doing a podcast. Yeah, that is my channel. I don't have a clue what's going on, neither do you. So don't expect me to change anytime soon. If you enjoy it, you like the variety, feel free to subscribe down below, drop a like, drop a comment. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all very soon. Peace.